Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Joy of Pixels podcast for Friday. I almost said Tuesday, September 11th, because it's September 11th, and the original September 11th happened on a Tuesday. That was weird. Friday, September 11th. Welcome, Akko. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. I'm ready for a very news-light podcast, and don't
Yeah,
know what
it's
we're
just
going to talk about this week.
it's been one of those weeks. Just nothing really ever happens, and one of these days we got to get some news sometime, right?
Yeah,
Well, I don't know. We'll figure out something to talk about, I'm sure. I guess we could talk about video games. What have you been playing?
it's a good idea. Yeah, I did play some video games, and I can first and foremost, I want to say that I finished now Call of Duty World War II, the final
Oh,
episode actually released an hour ago, and my last week impression kind of are the same. I thought it was a good action game. It was a good, fun action game with a decent enough story. If you don't think about it too hard, and kind of by the numbers, but at the same time also not doing anything too wrong or really anything upsetting too much. It just a decent World War II story with good action. I mentioned it last week. I really like that they changed up the gameplay a little bit, and each mission had a certain section that was a little bit new, from aerial combat to tank combat to stealth to sniper sections, and they really at least try to spice it up a little bit, and I really appreciate that. And the action set pieces that I set up where you had your fights were also interesting and diverse enough to keep me interested. And so overall, my review for this game is a lot better than for Modern Warfare.
did we still win the war?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, that's good to know. So what's next? You gonna jump into the next Call of Duty and
Nah, I think I'll hold off on the Call of Duties for now. I thought about doing like I only have Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 and then I think Black Ops 3. I think since you mentioned that it might be not perfect to jump into the third Black Ops, um, I'll pause it, and whenever I get a good starting point, maybe for the Black Ops series or for another Call of Duty, I may return to the campaign. But I don't think I will do anything Modern Warfare related, unless I hear
yeah,
it's significantly different than from what I experienced in the first one.
yeah, it's a tough sell. I feel like. Um, I mean, you could maybe like go back and check out the original Black Ops. I personally wasn't into the original Black Ops as much as other people seem to be. Um, but I mean, it did do some interesting things with the storytelling. I personally think Infinite Warfare. I think it's Infinite Warfare. I always get these confused. I personally think that one was a really interesting one. I think it's maybe like the one that does the most interesting and unique things with the gameplay,
Mm.
and like pulls away from the series the most. Um, but the story is still like super generic. Um, so yeah, I don't know. The new Modern Warfare I think is really really good, but I don't think you would like it at all if like you were not into the original Modern Warfare.
Okay.
So yeah, um,
Yeah, maybe a little
maybe
bit of a pause on
maybe
the
take a
Call
pause
of Duty
from
front.
Call of Duty.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm sure there will more Call of Duty games will come out. So maybe eventually there will be one that piques my interest again,
Black Ops
and I
Cold
will go
War.
back to it. But yeah, maybe press F to sell nukes to Iran will be the selling point for me. But, we'll see how it goes. I would be interested to hear if you ever get to go back to World War II, not the actual war, but Call of Duty World War II. What your review of it would be now, with some time removed and maybe with a little less. Um, World War II stories out there. Because I thought it was really good, both gameplay wise and this. I mean, this again, like the story is nothing special, but with good gameplay, the story is serviceable and good enough that it's not in the way of the enjoyment of the game.
I mean, everything that I remember about it was like perfectly fine. It just, um, I don't think, I don't think it was really what I was wanting at the time. I don't know if I really, I don't know if I honestly ever want to go back to like a World War II shooter, other than the fact of just like maybe at some point, it's like sometimes I just really want to watch the movie Saving Private Ryan, um, and it's the same way with those games. Like they're usually fairly short, so it's short enough that I can just play through it in one day, probably. Um, but yeah, I mean everything about it I remember was perfectly fine. With that being said, like I can barely remember anything about the story. I do remember the first of it, and I remembered like that mission that you were talking about where you go in disguise and there's like some stealth sequences.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know. For whatever reason, that particular one was a very forgettable experience for me, but not in a bad way. Like I know I had fun with it at the time, but I just don't really remember a whole lot about it. But that's kind of a good thing too, because then I can go back and play it, and it'll be like a whole new experience.
Yep. I think for me personally, also what helped is uh, that the weapons of the time, since they're a little harder to handle, it slows down the combat just a little bit
Oh yeah,
because
I
nothing is
remember.
as precise. And obviously, the enemies are not as precise either. So it kind of slows down things a little bit, which is a little more enjoyable for me than the run and gun combat of Modern Warfare, for
That
example.
was definitely a big talking point at the time because we had. I'm pretty sure that Infinite Warfare was the one before that, and so I mean we were literally like 200 years in the future, and we were flying like, uh, like a super high end warp jets that could go from Earth into space and travel through space to Saturn and all these different planets, and then to go like all the way back to World War II, it was a pretty big jump. Um, Not that that's a bad thing. It just was definitely a big thing at the time. I remember, and like going back to the health kits, not having the health regenerating was a really big thing. So yeah,
Yeah, I personally enjoyed that, but I can also see that I think it's just a matter of taste. I think I prefer a little slower paced action um, than maybe the mass audience for first person shooter enjoys. So I think it was a little more enjoyable for me, at least compared to Modern Warfare. And again, obviously, I also played the remastered of the first Modern Warfare, I can totally see that that series in terms of gameplay also got a little bit better for me personally. But I won't check it out.
yeah. Do you
Uh,
you're not really a multiplayer kind of guy, right?
no, not really. I never really like every now and then I kind of feel like, oh, I do want some competition in my life, and then I like I don't know, throw on some. Back in the day, I threw in some FIFA and like played an afternoon against online people and got frustrated. Now I play a little bit a little bit online on the UFC games, or I play PUBG as I mentioned, but that's about it. Like it's every now and then I feel like, oh yeah, a little bit of friendly competition is fun, but I never I think I just at most the thing with multiplayer games also is to be really good at them, you have to invest so much time in them, and for me, it then just becomes very repetitive. I just don't have the motivation to do that. I much rather than have a new experience to play through, rather than being expertly good at Call of
Yeah.
Duty or Battlefield, and if you're not really good at these games, I feel like it then just kind of gets a little frustrating after a while when you're
I
not really.
completely agree. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Modern Warfare again. I've gotten back into the multiplayer in that, and I have to say, I'm not trying to brag, but I've gotten pretty good.
Oh, look at you.
Like I'm, It's kind of surprising to me because I'm usually awful at these kind of things, but I mean, I'm usually like top 3 at the worst. A lot of times
Ah.
I'm first. Now, granted, I play like a very specific type. Like I almost always play the exact same maps, and I I don't really play that much though. Like I play for maybe an hour a day. I really just go in there just to kind of do the daily challenges, and really find it fun and rewarding. But like you say, it definitely does help if you are doing better at the game versus like if you're just doing terrible at the game, then it's obviously not much fun.
Yeah, exactly. And again, I think these games are set up that you can be decent at the games if you put the time in it. I just, for the most part, I just don't feel the interest in putting that amount of time into them.
Yeah, totally makes
But
sense.
talking about finishing up Call of Duty World War II, that obviously leads me into a new game that I started, and that is Tell Me Why, the new game, the new episodic game from Don't Not. I think that is the developer's name. The
Hmm.
developer
People that
who
made
made
Life
Life
is
is
Strange.
Strange, yes, 1, 2, and did they do Before the Storm?
I think so.
Or were they different? I think so, yeah. I think those were the same developers. But yeah, and I really enjoyed Life is Strange 1 and 2. 1 and Before the Storm. Didn't enjoy Life is Strange 2 too much, partially because the time in between episodes was just too much to handle for me. It just completely got me out of the characters, out of the story, and also just frustrated me from just a consumer standpoint. When you have I think 5 or 6 episodes to look forward to, and you play 2 in 6 months, that's just like uh, 2 times 2.5 to 3 hours in 6 months. It was
And
just not enough,
well,
and you
they
never knew how long it would take until the next one.
yeah, that was the thing that was so annoying too. Like if they actually gave you like a schedule,
Yeah,
like, hey, these are going to release every 3 months, then it would at least be like, okay, I can play through this, and then I can know when to look forward to it. But it's like you play through one of those, and then you're like, well, I guess now we just wait for news about this. Um,
exactly. Yeah,
that's really annoying. That's how the Telltale games started to get as well. I feel like when they
a little bit.
first started doing it, like with I almost said Walking Strange, Walking Dead, uh, Walking Dead season 1, they were like, yeah, these are going to come out every 2 months, and they would put out
Hmm.
like a pre-release schedule for them, but they just started getting so bad about that, and I know it was the same way with Life is Dead.
Life is dead. Get on. Exactly. But now, Tell Me Why obviously tackles a whole new story. And I don't want to talk too much about both the characters because you are actually controlling 2 characters, so much I can say. But I don't want to speak too much about anything revolving around them and their circumstances because I really find I finished chapter 1 by now, and I really think it's great. I have a great time with it. I feel very invested with the characters. It's a very unique story that they are telling, and with touching upon some very interesting and important topics. And I think the less going into the game, the better it is because then it really unfolds slowly and organically. So I won't talk too much about what is happening there. But what I can tell is that I really enjoy it, and positive surprise also is that they released all 3 episodes across 3 weeks, so each week 1 episode. So the game now is fully out. It is on Game Pass, and yeah. So we talked about it a little bit before the podcast, and it's like maybe 1 episode a week is a little bit too fast of a turnaround.
It's like
Um,
they went the completely opposite direction. They're like, you want them faster?
yeah,
Here's one every week.
I will say though, I prefer that much more
I
than
absolutely
waiting
prefer
seven
that
months
too.
or
Yeah.
like not knowing whether it's be 3 month or 7 month. And between episode 2 and 3, it's 7 month, and between 3 and 4, it's 2 month, and then it's 6 month, and
I personally
it's
feel
a
like once a month is like the sweet spot, like one every month.
yeah. Yeah, though I will say though, now that we talked about a little bit, and as we are talking now, an idea developed in my head, and maybe it's another thing that we have to give back to reality. Or he gets a whole list of things. But I thought about like if you approach it really more like a actual TV show where you have like an hour each week, and you kind of, or hour and a half, obviously depending on how the player plays, but then have it like a season of 10, 15 episodes that you release each week, and that's your season. I wonder if that is a thing that could be a model that works, where it really feels, when you go for the cinematic experience, and it feels like a TV show, that you come back every Wednesday, uh, 8 p.m. new episode of Walking Strange comes out.
I've I've always wondered why a game didn't try to do this. Because there's even games like Alan Wake did this, to where it would say like you would wrap up an episode, which would be like a chapter, and it would be like next
Yeah,
time on Alan Wake, and it would show you like a little clip of what's going to happen next, and then before you would play the next episode, it would give you like a little recap. Resident Evil Revelations 1 and 2 would do that as well. That would seem like even more of a perfect thing to do, like a weekly type thing, because I think
yeah.
those are like 5 or 6 episodes in those, and that would just be like a perfect little, 1.5, 2 month stretch of that game coming out. I do feel like, I don't know, it's weird. I don't think people would be for it, um, because Hitman tried to do this as well. They tried to do episodic, and they got a lot of backlash for it. And I was even in the crowd of like, I don't want this. I don't want my Hitman to be episodic. I want to play everything at once. But after they did it, I was like, oh, this is fantastic, because they would put out. I think it works so well for Hitman because they put out a map. They would put out one map, and
Mhm.
you would think, well, okay, this is just one map. This is one mission. It's going to take me like an hour, and then I'm not going to have anything to do for the next month. But they supported it so well. They put out that one map, but then they would put out like multiple missions in the map, multiple ways to do it. Then they would support it with the elusive targets, which were the one time only targets that would come in, and like you would only get one shot to kill them. So I feel like that was one of the best ways of doing a game like that, and unfortunately, it just didn't seem to take off. Fans didn't really like it. Well,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say that. I would say the people that did get into it really liked it, but so many people didn't buy it because of that, and they just didn't even want to give it a try, which is too bad. So I don't know. I don't know if that would work. I think it would be a good idea, but I think it would just be such a big backlash that people just wouldn't want it.
I think it is a little easier to do that with an already kind of more cinematic approach, like a Life is Strange, Telltale type of game, or like a Detroit Become Human style, where you really have mostly a walking simulator with an interactive storytelling. Um, I think it can work. Probably not the best idea to have your next biggest AAA project trying that out, but I feel like
Yeah,
a
can you
studio
imagine
like,
if they did that to like a Final Fantasy or something, to where they split it into parts
yeah,
and
that would be terrible, and then especially not telling you how long in between parts or how
yeah,
many parts.
I know.
That would be ludicrous. But I can see maybe like a smaller studio like Don't Nod, maybe trying something out like that. I mean, now they already did 3 episodes in 3 weeks, and as far as I can tell, generally the reception of Tell Me Why is pretty good. So maybe that opens the door for like a longer season down the road, where we then get, and I think also, I think these kinds of games are fantastic for something like Game Pass, because it also binds consumers to your service.
Exactly.
Since it's now Microsoft Studios, if you now would say, okay, you're part of our Microsoft Studios, make us 15 episodes, 1 episode a week, 1.5 hours, all pre-developed, so you only have to polish things off, like they all come out on time, and if you want to play it, it's only on Microsoft Game Pass. And if you want to play through it, yeah, you would have Microsoft Game Pass. Most gamers would have it, but it would also bind some gamers who have Game Pass on and off. for at least 2-3 months until that season is over.
Yeah, I mean that would be like super anti-consumer to only put it on Game Pass and like, you
I mean,
know,
you could say that you then release the full season afterwards on all other things.
yeah, yeah, you could do that, or you could be like Nintendo and just put out a product that is only available physically and digitally to a certain date, and then just
I mean,
never
if
sell it
you
again.
if you go down the road of a TV show, it's not that much different than a new season on HBO. If you can only watch it if you have HBO, and if you don't have HBO, you got to wait until you can buy the DVD.
That's a good point. Yeah,
So if you go down that road, you can market it as such, like an interactive TV show, so to speak.
yeah, yeah. Although they kind of tried to do that with Quantum Break, I think it was.
Mm.
Did you ever play Quantum Break?
No.
They they made like a full budget TV show along with the game. And it was a really cool idea, but the way that they implemented it was just bizarre because it was like you played the game and then you literally just had to like watch a 30-minute TV show like in the game while you were waiting for the next part of the game to happen. It was kind of
I mean,
bizarre.
so it's like a Kojima game.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
But it was like
I mean,
a full
it's a
live
new
action
thing. Yeah.
TV show.
Yeah, I guess.
So anyway, we kind of got off on a tangent there, but tell me why. So you got through the first episode, you said?
Yeah, the first chapter,
How
first episode.
long was the first episode?
I would say roughly 3 hours is a good time
Okay.
to aim for.
So the full
Plus
game's
minus half
probably
an
like
hour.
10 hours or so.
Yeah, something like that. I think if I think between 3.5 hours is a good time, depending on how thorough people explore and how much. There's also a lot to read additionally, so I think you can spend some extra time there if you want and go into that. So yeah, 3.5 hours is probably a good
And
time.
is it I've barely seen anything about the game, just like I've seen a trailer. I barely remember what it's about though. But I'm assuming it's kind of like the same formula as Life is Strange. Is it kind of like along the same lines of like kind of the Walking Dead style game where it's like interactive, choices matter,
Yes,
people will remember that kind of stuff.
exactly. So you are faced with is a scenario, and you're talking mostly just talking to people, looking around. There was like especially like one little puzzle involved, which was interesting. And I think they did an interesting job here in this game to it's a certain conversation that you have. You kind of really have to approach them carefully to to not do something wrong. So they do have obviously some impact, but they follow the similar formula as before.
Very cool. Let's see. Tell me about as far as the eye, as far as
Yes,
the eye. What I haven't
yeah,
even heard of that.
yes. It's a small little indie strategy game that just came out on Thursday, and I was able to check that out. And it is a turn-based strategy game which has also some they call it roguelike or roguelite elements to it, and it has a very cute art style. The basic premise is that you take control of a quote unquote tribe that has to flee from kind of a natural disaster flood to the Eye, which is kind of their safe haven. And apparently, this flood happens every in certain periods. And in order to get to the Eye, you have to move from one map to another. And in order to move between maps, you have to gather certain resources. You can build certain buildings, and gather them to then go to the next stage on your journey. You can take different paths there, which has influence of what kind of difficulties you will encounter on your path. And throughout that, you manage your little tribe and try to get as many resources to the eye. And I was only able to try it out a little bit so far, but it has some really cool ideas. It works really well, and it has very, very cute looking, nice art style to it as well.
Is this another Game Pass game?
No, not. I don't think so.
Okay. How did you find out about it?
I was able to get a copy from the developers early.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah. So I was able to check it out and try it out.
Very cool.
And it is now on Steam. I think it's not a full price game, like $20 or so. But yeah, I think if you like turn-based strategy games, it has definitely some cool elements, because on each map you pretty much have a turn timer because of the flood coming, which also has some other effects as you progresses, and can change some things up for you. So you deal with a little bit of time pressure. As far as I can tell, it's not really too bad, but you kind of have to manage that at the very least, and have that in mind when you navigate the maps.
It looks cool. I like the art style, and it's kind of or it's not kind of, it is on a hex
Yes.
grid, kind of like a Civ type top down strategy view. It looks neat.
Yes, exactly. And your characters obviously take certain amount of movement points to cross certain terrain. So normal terrain is like one movement point, but if mountains and forests, then it takes them 2 movement points. So you kind of have to navigate through it. You have to explore the maps, gather the resources to then move on and kind of bring your tribe to safety. That is the base premise of it.
Very cool. You still having fun with Wastelands?
I certainly do. A lot of fun. It's fantastic. Yeah, not much else to say without spoilers, other than I'm having a fantastic time.
I don't remember if I talked about it, but I did boot it up and I tried it. Was that last? Maybe that was last Friday.
Last week you were talking about that you were really itching to try it, but you didn't want to because you wanted to save it up for when you have time. But on the other hand, you also want to play it.
Yeah, I forgot that was last Friday. It was the night after the podcast. I booted it up and tried it out, and yeah, it looks really fun. I do think I am going to hold off on going any farther though, because I did.
How far did you get?
I got to like the first base area, where you meet the patriarch guy.
Okay.
And I just kind of like cleared out the base. I explored all throughout the base, everywhere that I could. I met the crazy guy in the cell that was locked up. Did you let him out, or did you leave him in there?
I did, yeah.
Yeah, I let him out too.
I'm sure it will.
What's the worst that could happen? Yeah, it looks really, really fun. The combat, I'm not like 100% sold on the combat. It seems good, but I don't know if I would say it feels like it's as in depth as XCOM or like Divinity or something like that. But I don't know if it's just because I just did like the very early
it definitely gets way more intense a little bit later on. So I'm not super far in a huge game like this, but I'm now roughly like 15 hours or so in, and the games, the battles are tough. Like, I'm playing on normal, and you have to mind your P's and Q's, and you also are you have to look that you then use your abilities and perks that you unlock. You have to mind that in the beginning you don't have all of that, and you don't really have that many options. It's really just attack or cover or run. But very quickly that changes after like the initial part of the game, and once I would say You played Wasteland 2, right?
No, never played a
No.
Wasteland.
Okay, but there's basically like a quote unquote world map thing where you travel around, and once you get to that point, which is not too far ahead, but once you really get to that point organically, then like things really combat wise get tough. Not crazy difficult, but you got to be careful. And the game teaches you very quickly that sometimes also trying to avoid a fight or trying to get into better position before initiating a fight is very important. So, and I had multiple situations where I initiated a fight and then afterwards, when I was cleaning up the mess, um, I looked around and found out like, oh, there was this whole side path that I could have explored that would have given me this advantage, and I could have disabled the turrets that were shooting me, and all of these kind of things. So I think there is where then the comet really shines. That you really have to pay attention to your surroundings, to your environment, to put yourself into better positions, and then as you unlock them and as you progress, you will have more tools at your disposal as well, and the game will really urge you to use them. Otherwise, it gets tough very quickly.
Did you find the it was like that spider robot thing in the main base in the garage area?
Mm-hmm.
Did you were you able to activate it?
No, I wasn't. I wasn't.
So I think I found like a repair kit or something, and I was like, oh, I wonder if this would work on that. And you can.
Oh.
And it turns out like I fixed it, and I was like, oh, we fixed it, and then it just like immediately turned against us and started fighting us. So
That's what happens when you find a
it is
robot
really
with
cool.
a
Just the number of possibilities that can happen in that
yeah.
game. It's really neat.
Yeah, and I like games that kind of encourage you to think a little bit outside the box with these kind of things and
Yeah,
try out a little bit. I really enjoy that.
yeah. Let's see. Been playing more Crusader Kings 3, creating more heirs and taking over
Blackmailing,
countries, and
yeah, the usual.
you still having fun with that?
It's very addicting. It's a nice game to chill out to.
Yeah, I still kind of want to check it out. Just I don't know. I feel like I've had so much on my plate lately, so I haven't had a whole lot of time. But yeah, I want to try it out at some point. I will try it out at some point. I've been playing anything else that you want to talk about?
No, out of the park baseball. Just throwing it out
Always.
there. my weekly shout out, which is also on Game Pass. So that's how you know it's a good service.
Let's see. I have been playing a little bit of Call of Duty, like I said. I didn't realize until earlier this week, actually, that they have not only daily challenges, but they also have weekly challenges for the Battle Pass. So I've been working through all of the weekly challenges, and they are retroactive as well. So, like in the Battle Pass, um, even though it's in like week 5 or something like that, you can still complete the week 1 and week 2 challenges and all of that stuff. So been going through all of that, and like almost all of the challenges are just like kill 30 enemies with an SMG with a certain type of scope and a certain type of weapon mod or something like that. So it's fun just to mix it up and just, pick a different weapon, and you have a challenge to kill a certain number of enemies, or, get like 10 headshots using this particular weapon or something like that. So mostly just been doing that just kind of in my leisure. Still going through Zelda The Wind Waker. Really enjoying that. The only thing that I think is really weird is Zelda is not in this game. I don't think she is anyway, unless unless she shows up later on. And it seems I'm noticing a trend here, because I played Ocarina of Time, and that is like very much centered around helping Zelda, and you're kind of both helping each other to save the kingdom from Ganon. But then you go to Wind Waker, or then you go to Majora's Mask, and like there is literally no mention of Zelda. And now I'm going into Wind Waker, and there's no mention of Zelda either. And it's kind of bizarre to me that they just like completely stopped talking about her. So I'm curious to know like when Zelda comes back into the Legend of Zelda.
Well,
I mean, it's always been kind of weird that you play as Link in the Legend of Zelda, but at least at least Ocarina of Time, like actually had Zelda involved, and I mean, Breath of the Wild did us too. So yeah, that's kind of weird. But regardless, I'm still having a lot of fun with that game. It's a really good game. Um, I also started playing Dragon Age Origins.
oh,
Yeah, so I've I've had a weird history with Dragon Age. I guess my first BioWare game was Mass Effect. I didn't really know anything about BioWare at the time. You know, I just saw a cool looking space game and picked it up and was just blown away with Mass Effect. And I didn't even realize this. I thought that Dragon Age Origins had come out before Mass Effect. But it definitely did not. Mass Effect came out in 2007, Dragon Age in 2009. So I remember playing Dragon Age, and I had played it shortly after I had played The Witcher 1. And for whatever reason, I just could not ever get into it. There were just a bunch of things that bothered me about it. I know that this is like such a cynical thing to say, but it just annoyed me with how dated it looked, especially for a game that was made in 2009. Like it doesn't look great. And I mean, I think it could have looked a lot better with the resources that they had. I don't really understand like why the bows don't even have bowstrings. It doesn't seem like that would have been that hard of a thing to make. Um, but anyway, regardless of this, I'm trying to get into it, and I am getting into it, and I'm having a good time with it. I've always wanted to get into the Dragon Age games, and I've tried probably 3 times and just always fallen off like after 5 hours or so. But I've gotten farther than I've ever gotten, and I am I'm starting to kind of feel hooked. I'm starting to kind of feel like I want to keep going back to it. The combat to me is I don't know. It just leaves a lot to be desired a lot of times, but I also think that it's like
yeah.
I still don't really understand this combat. It's very convoluted. Like everything that I want to do doesn't seem to work the way I want it to do it, and the controls along with the combat just frustrate me a lot of times. But I'm starting to get used to it. I'm starting to kind of adjust to it. But it's like I don't know. I wish that game just had Divinity Original Sin combat. Like I wish it was
Yeah.
turn based, and I wish it was much more in depth than it is. Um, but I am starting to adjust to it a little bit more. I'm starting to learn a little bit more about it. The tactics part of it, where you have to like set up your teams to do certain things, is very confusing and very convoluted again. But once you kind of learn how to make like a healer do certain things, then it helps a lot. But regardless of all of that, like the main thing about this game is the plot and the characters. And both of those are fantastic. Like just the interaction with the characters that you have is so well done. The writing is so well done. The lore is so well done. Even though I think it's a little overwhelming, they really throw like a lot of stuff at you at once, and kind of expect you to like read through all of those codex entries to really
Yeah.
get the full lore of everything.
It pays off to do so, though, because I think
Yeah.
that is really where Dragon Age shines for me is the world building. They really succeeded in creating a very interesting fantasy world. And when I played it the first time, I definitely played through it on easy because I just couldn't bother with the combat. I just didn't like. I tried it in the beginning and then I just didn't care anymore, and just turned it down to easy and just
I'm swapping back and forth between easy and normal. I find that
yeah.
like for the most part, easy or normal is okay. But then I'll come to like a boss fight and just like instantly die. And so I'll drop it down to easy and still die a lot of times, I feel like. But it's I don't know, it almost feels like there's a very specific way that they want you to play, and unless you play exactly like this, then you're just going to die. So I do feel like I'm getting better. I'm learning how to like create I can't remember what they call them, but like you can create poison and things to put on your weapons. You can create like
Never bothered with any of that.
I know. I was Vermalt has been watching me play some of it, and she was like, "I never bothered with any of the stuff, or like the tactics or anything like that." The thing is, like, I want to do all of that. I want to learn all of that, and I think it is fun to learn how to create that stuff and like
Sure.
put runes in your weapons and all of that stuff.
So one of the things that I always thought was something absolutely amazing that Dragon Age Origin did, which I still can't believe that not more games ever really did that, is having this split intro where, depending on how you create your
Yeah,
character, you have a different intro scenario, which I thought was absolutely genius. That if you create a dwarf, you have a completely different intro section than when you play as a human or as an elf, and then even among them there are different starting points as well that slightly change that scenario again. I thought that was absolutely genius to do that, because it makes it like, first of all, it makes you feel way more connected with your character, that you don't feel like just put in the generic intro scenario. And yes, obviously it converges to the same then point from where you go after that. But I thought that that just really adds just a little bit extra to your character and to the role playing aspect to it. And I can't really think of any game that really did that off the top of my head.
yeah. I feel like there have been other games that have done that.
There must be, but not many. And I always thought like there were so many, and like even Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition didn't do that. And I always thought like that was one of the greatest parts of Origin, is just the introduction that now when after you created your character, you shaped how you start the game, and that will uniquely impact also later the game, because obviously it gives you, depending on where you start, like you have some familiar ties with that area where you start. So when you return, that impacts how your character deals with that. So I was always very confused that that first of all never made a return in the Dragon Age series, and then also wasn't really a thing in a lot of other games.
It's probably a lot of work to do that.
Probably, but for me, it really paid off.
I agree. Yeah.
Because it got me really, really invested. But I remember when I played it back then, like I kind of felt like, oh, this is like, it almost felt like a, for me, personalized intro scenario that is really based on the character that I created, and I thought that was amazing. And it was obvious that it couldn't just be any intro scenario. And then I found out that it also, basically per race, there are pretty much two intro scenarios that you go through. So yeah, I thought
Yeah.
that was very interesting.
I mean, it's not the same, but I do feel like Divinity Original Sin 2. I don't know if the first one does this because I didn't play it, but I do feel like Divinity Original Sin 2 definitely can, like that first,
Yeah,
the first chapter
still,
can vary like completely in different ways
yeah,
depending on what you do
but
and who you pick.
that's it. But depending on what you do, you don't get a different experience presented to you based on what, like, it's like, it is dependent on your actions and not on your character.
Yeah.
So I feel like the difference that Dragon Age was that it really depends what character you have, what scenario you enter and up in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I don't want to be too harsh on it because I mean it is an old game, and I enjoy the game a lot. That being said, like a few criticisms I have, um, I feel like, and maybe this is just the way that I play, but I feel like there are very specific scenarios that I feel like I'm playing things and I'm like, it's obvious, even though they're giving me a choice to go one way or the other. It's like it's obvious, like this is the way that they kind of intended for things to go, or like the canon way, or of things of the way that they wanted things to go, like characters that you can choose to add to your party. Um, and again, maybe this is just the way that I play. Like, if there's a character that can come to my party, I want them in my party, even if I wouldn't necessarily like pick them in real life if I was truly role playing, I guess. But like some of the early characters that you meet that you can add to your party, like you can totally just have them die or leave them and not have them added to your party. But it's like I want the full experience, and so I want them to come into my party, and so I pick choices that I might not necessarily pick in real life so that I can get them into my party. Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. I think that is a little bit more of an issue of the early game because that is when you pick up your companions, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, no, I totally see that and I totally agree with that. Um, I I like when you mentioned it at first, I couldn't really remember if I had the feeling that I was kind of like funneled into decisions too much. However, I totally see that with your companion characters,
I
and
mean,
I would do the same. Like you always want
this
to have
is
at
I
least a
think this is
choice of
partially
character.
just
But I
like,
feel like in Mass Effect it's the same. Like you,
well,
so
that's what
certain
I was going to
characters.
say. This is partially just like a me problem because it's like I always want to see what it's like to be the bad guy or something like that, but I just can never
Mm,
do it. Like I always end up picking the good choices, uh, and taking the Paragon route if we're gonna go with Mass Effect. Like I always want to do Renegade and be a Renegade, but I just can't ever do it. I just always end up being the good guy in those games.
yeah, no, for me the same. And I mean, but I think like other than that, I don't think the game funnels your decision too much. I mean, there are not ultimately there are not too many branching paths anyway,
Yeah, I
but
mean,
there are some major decisions that you have to make.
like it's not really funneling you into this decision. It's just like you come up to a character early on, Stin, that he's the what do they call Quinari, Quasari,
Kunari, yeah, Kunari,
Quinari,
croissants, yeah, the croissants,
croissants. Yeah, um, he's French. Um,
yeah,
uh, and it's like you can totally just leave him in that cage and just not take him. But I don't want to do that because I want to know about him. I want to know his story. But at the same time, like, there's no way I would take him in my party if this was real life.
oh for sure, yeah. No, I totally get what you mean.
So I don't know. I think that that's interesting, and it's just kind of like I don't know. It's a problem with me, I guess, because I want to know his story. I want to know everyone's story. But at the same time, if I really want to get into a game and like really role play it, then there's no way I'm taking him along with me.
Yeah,
Um,
no, no, I totally agree.
but I'm still enjoying
So
it.
if you're enjoying it, do you plan on going to the other two as well?
Yeah, absolutely. That's my plan. Is I want to go through all three of them. I want to get ready for Dragon Age 4 in 2025.
Yeah.
So I got time, but
I definitely want to play the games as well again. I started Dragon Age Origin a while ago again. I kind of stopped because it's just such a long game, and like once you get sucked in, like you said, there's a lot of reading involved, and it really pays off, and you kind of have to. So it's really a game better suited to just do on your own and take your time with it. But I feel like they did such a good job with world building, and I feel like character, like in terms of the characters and the stories, I always held Origin on the top of my list. Oh no, I wouldn't say it's, like the overall experience. Probably Origin plus the nostalgia factor wins in the three games. But then the second one is gameplay wise the worst. It's the least polished. It has some absolutely horrendous elements to it, as you will get to it. But it has, in my opinion, by far the best story, and it has
you're
and
going to
it
make
has an
Vermalt
ending.
very happy with saying that.
yeah, and I know a lot of people hated on it, and there are some decisions in there that I just didn't understand. Um, but as far as I know, they were also very rushed to bring it out, which led to a lot of the issues. So one of the issues that you pretty much have kind of repeating dungeons there over and over again that are like you're basically in the same dungeon for different quests, and they kind of sell it as a different place, but it's like the same layout, that just that this time the left door is unlocked and not the right door, and that is just it's just so repetitive and bad. But again, like the characters they give you in the second one are fantastic, and the story overall is probably the best one. And it really had me in the end with a moment where you have to make a big decision, and I literally sat there for half an hour just staring at my screen, not knowing what to do.
That's what BioWare just did.
Yeah, and
I still
yeah,
think they can do it, but they definitely did that so good back then.
yeah, and they like that was definitely one of and Vermont probably knows what decision I'm talking about. Like that was really like I really didn't know what to do. Like there were so many pros and cons, and I knew that either way that but was a very big decision, but I just didn't know what to do. And then the third one is probably the most polished. It has the best combat in it because it's a little more. It's just a little more interesting. It's fairly simple, but at the same time, it's also the most fun because of it, because it doesn't get as much of a slog. And but I think their pacing was a little bit of an issue in the third one. I know, but yeah, I think all three are like it's a weird trilogy because all three I would say are good games, but for different reasons.
Yeah, they're all so different. I mean, they're in
Yeah,
the
and
same universe, but they're so different. Not just
they're
like
so different.
story
Yeah,
wise, but gameplay wise. I've played all three of them. I just have never finished all three of them.
yeah,
I have started the. I've played maybe 5 or 6 hours of Dragon Age 2, and I honestly really like the setup for Dragon Age 2. I think it's really cool what they're doing with that. So I'm excited to get to that. I know the caveats of the game, so I'm kind of setting my expectations when I go into that.
yeah.
But yeah, I think it's finally pulled me in, and I'm I'm kind of committed to getting through it,
Yeah, I
regardless.
mean, otherwise, Vermont will just scream at you. So now you
Yeah,
have to, now you have to put in the 300 hours to finish the trilogy.
yeah.
You're stuck with that now.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it, with those certain caveats. I guess, like, another thing is it feels like a giant world, but at the same time, like, so many of the areas are just so tiny. Like the way the world map is, and like you go to a world map and then you like click on an area to go, and then they'll go a little ways and then they'll stop, and it's just like this little tiny area. And I don't know, just coming from a game from like even The Witcher 1. I mean, The Witcher 1 was still split into areas, but it was like these massive areas that you could still explore. And then
Yeah,
obviously like Oblivion, I'm picking games that were like way even earlier than this. I think Oblivion was like 2006. That's just like a massive world. I guess what I would say is, man, forget about remaking or remastering Mass Effect. Mass Effect is fine. I don't need a
yeah.
remaster or anything for that. Remaster or remake Dragon Age Origins. I think that would be amazing.
Origins and two, like, please fix that one as well. Because if they
Yeah.
fix the game in two, that is probably the best. Like that is then the hands down best game. If they kind of put the same amount of thought and polish to the second one as they put them in the third one, and then the second one is great. But it's like you can tell that game was rushed like hell. Like
Just give me bowstrings. That's all I want. Why do they not have
just both.
bowstrings on their bows? I really don't understand that. Like
Yeah,
I don't know. It's but yeah, anyway. I'm excited to continue it. There's been a few nights already where I've sunk in just like 4 or 5 hours and just, didn't even want to stop playing.
yeah, that's good.
Yeah, having fun with it. Let's see. I think that's about it for games we've been playing. Not a lot coming out this week, but we've got Spelunky 2 is coming out for the PS4. on September 15th. I know Spelunky 1 was a very popular game. I never played. Did you ever play any of those?
No.
Me neither. But I know a lot of people did. A lot of people excited for the second one. It's I think it's a timed exclusive for PS4. We also have Crysis Remastered. I am very interested in how this is going to go. I'm a big fan of the original Crysis. I kind of want to check this out, but I'm not sure if I'm going to, because I think the original may be just fine to play by itself. But that's coming out on the 18th for PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Then we have Super Mario 3D All-Stars coming out on September 18th. Get it while you can. It's only available until March 31st.
It will never be available again.
It's going in the vault. And then
honestly, I can actually Nintendo see doing that. Like, that is such a weird company. I can just see them doing that, and then like in 10 years, people sell their Switch with the
it's like PT, people selling their consoles.
Digital.
It has Super Mario 3D All Stars on it.
Then people buy it for like $5,000 and stuff.
I'm still not sure if I'm gonna get it or not. I've got it pre-ordered, like just in case. But looking more at the footage, like first of all, so it comes with Mario 64, which I've never played, but I've heard is like one of everybody's favorites. But I also wonder if it's like it's everybody's favorites because that's what everybody played when they were 8 years old, and it's like this huge nostalgia thing. Is it really that good of a game? Maybe it is. I don't know.
I mean, I revisited it later on an emulator, and I still thought it was like.
So that was going to be my point, is that there have been massive fan projects to make this game look 10 times better than it looks in this package. It just seems like they did the bare minimum effort. They didn't even make it widescreen, and looking at some of the videos, like there are some incredible quote remasters that people have done just through emulation that I feel like it would just be a much better experience to play it through emulation. And it's the same way with Mario Sunshine. The emulated versions of that look way better than what they're showing. And then
it's the official Nintendo version that is only available until March something next year.
And then they have Galaxy, which the only caveat with Galaxy for me was that it ran at 720p, or was it maybe it was 480p. So if they just would up that to 1080p, I think it would look perfectly fine, which they have done in emulation. And they didn't even, I don't think, this has been a little confusing because I don't know if anybody really knows, but I don't think that they removed the motion controls out of this. So you still have to use motion controls, which is what I personally hated about the game. I loved the game, hated the controls. So I don't know how that game is even going to play. Like you have a Lite, right? You have a Nintendo Switch Lite, right?
Yeah. That is what I was wondering right now. Like, how would that work?
So do you have to hold it? I don't know. Yeah. Does that have motion?
Then I have to move my head as well to like really see what's going.
Does it have motion controls on that?
It has like this kind of
like gyro type.
Gyro thing. Yeah.
That's weird.
I never used it, but it has it, I think.
If I remember right, Mario Galaxy, like you had separated controls, and like one thing would do another thing, and the other thing would do the other thing. So I don't know
Maybe
how
I
that's.
Need to saw off the edges.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. If
I just spent another $80 for an additional set of controllers. So.
Yeah, that'll just get drift and have to replace them in a year. Oh, Nintendo. Anyway, back to games releasing. Rounding up the releases, we have WWE 2K Battlegrounds coming out on September 18th for PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Stadia. And that's all the news. There was nothing else that happened this week.
Okay, yeah.
We'll see you next time, guys. All right, let's see. Let's get into everything.
Yeah, let's get going.
Do you need a break? Do you want to take a break?
Nah, I'm fine.
You good? All right, let's do it. let's jump in. Let's jump in first, and let's talk about the ever evolving situation with Control. So,
They're
if you
losing control.
if you remember, they came out and they made this whole big thing about how they weren't going to upgrade people for free to the next gen versions. They said it was impossible to do that. No matter how they looked at like all these different scenarios and every way that they tried to figure this out, they couldn't do it. And I don't know if you heard this, but apparently they accidentally flipped the switch somewhere and just started giving people on the PS4 the Ultimate Edition. And then the worst part is they turned it back off like after 12 hours, and they were like, "Oh, we don't know what happened. We don't know how that happened."
That was Stephen accounting.
This is just like the most, like, how bad can you screw up your PR? They could have made this just such a great situation to where they were like, "Look, we realize we made a mistake. We're just going to give everybody that has the season pass, the everybody that has the complete edition, we're just going to upgrade you to the Ultimate Edition for free, no extra charge. You get it all. Everyone's happy, right?" But no, they won't do it. And what's worse is they literally just make up these ridiculous excuses.
There's just no way to do it.
That, you know, like, oh, no matter what, we're leaving somebody behind. And this, I'm sorry, but that's just ridiculous. I just wanted to throw that out there. I try not to be too negative about things, but come on. This is straight from the publisher. It's don't get mad at the developers. You know, they're not doing this, but the publisher, 505
all
Games.
The poor developers, like they...
I mean, Remedy is not a huge developer. I mean, they definitely are a big developer, but they're not. I don't think they're to blame for this.
No. That's what I mean. It's like the poor developers, in the sense that it's like they. I feel bad for them because they are not responsible for this mess.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, I haven't played it yet, but Control is a great game.
It's such a good game.
And then you have like PR headquarters, like just basically spraying gasoline over your project and setting it on fire.
It just sucks when it's like, it's such a good game, but you're just making this so hard to like your game, guys. So yeah, I'm glad that I'm on PC and I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff, but no. I do feel bad for people that are on consoles. Like, come on. And again, like, they could just say, like, hey, you can play this game, you know, you're still going to be able to play your game when you get to PS5. You can just play it backwards compatible. Like, even though that's not as good, it still would be better just to say that and make sure people understand that, because there's a lot of people that just think like, oh, I just am not even going to be able to play my game. I don't know. It's bizarre.
Yeah, they really need
me.
to find a way to remedy that situation.
They do. They really need to get control of it. Let's see. They revealed Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. That's such a mouthful. They revealed some more information about the multiplayer. I know a lot of people don't care about this, so I'm just going to run through this stuff really quick. I'm pretty torn on this. As someone, like I've said, who's gotten really into the multiplayer with Modern Warfare, I'm not super excited about this. They gave some more details about Warzone. I think people are going to be more excited about this. It looks like Warzone is basically going to just carry over. It's not really going to change that much, other than they're going to add some of the Cold War elements into Warzone. But all of your progress and everything is going to carry over. So that's great for them. The actual multiplayer... The
biggest question is, though, will you be able, in the multiplayer, especially in Warzone, to play as Ronald Reagan?
There was it was so funny in, I think it was the original Call of Duty Black Ops. They had the zombies mode. That was one of their really big things was zombie mode. And the introduction to that is like one of the most memorable sequences, where it's I think it's Nixon, JFK, and I think Reagan was in it. and like it doesn't make any sense because these are from all different time zones, but they're like all talking about I don't even know what they're talking about, and they start to hear the zombies coming in. They're in the White House, like having in a board meeting or something, and they hear the zombies coming in, and Nixon's like freaking out, and Kennedy's like, it's just the wind, don't worry about it. And then the zombies come in and they like start grabbing shotguns, and Kennedy pumps the shotgun and he's like, lock and load. So I can totally see them doing something like that. It was such a cool thing.
I just want to see Ronald Reagan like punching dudes.
I wonder what like the legality of that is. Can they? Do they have?
He's a historical figure, so they can do that. I think there was a famous lawsuit. I think it was actually one of the Black Ops game. I read about it. It was some kind of Central American warlord person that they included. And that guy actually sued them. Not sure, maybe it wasn't Call of Duty, but somewhere else. But he actually sued them because they didn't ask him
to use his likeness or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. But the judge ruled that since he is a historical figure and it is playing in a historical context, they are able to use his likeness.
I wouldn't even be surprised if like they actually had some kind of rights set up or something with Reagan, since he was an actor in the past, and like there's somebody that I don't know owns the rights to Ronald Reagan's likeness. Anyway, they showed off a little bit more of the actual multiplayer, and I'm pretty torn on it. They showed off 5 different maps. They look very diverse. They also look pretty big though, and Call of Duty has never done very well with very big maps, I feel like, other than Warzone, which is Battle Royale. But typically, like, Call of Duty is much more about having these really close quarters, and you basically just run around a corner and there's going to be an enemy there a lot of times. These looked like they were a lot bigger to me. They showed off there's a couple of new modes. Some of the modes look like they could be interesting, but I also feel like they always show off these modes that could look really interesting, but they always just end up basically just being like a team deathmatch type mode. They showed off a mode that's a VIP where you have to transport a VIP from like one part of the map to the other part. It might be. Again, like, I think that could be really cool, but I think it'll just end up being everybody will just kind of go free for all and just want to, play team deathmatch.
Especially if is the VIP a player or is that an NPC?
I don't know. It wasn't clear to me. Maybe they did talk more about it. Because if
that's a player, that is just opens up a whole new
there's no way that, I mean, unless maybe like the VIP doesn't have a weapon or something. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they have like
what if they just run into the enemy? Like you,
yeah.
And then
I don't know. It's probably going to be this. I feel like this is what happens with most of these games. They put in some of these cool modes, but like nobody plays them. They just all play team deathmatch.
Yeah. But isn't it always like when like a new Battlefield trailer comes out, everyone is saying, "Oh, this looks too much like Call of Duty," and whenever a new Call of Duty trailer comes out, this looks
too much like Battlefield.
Like Battlefield.
Yeah,
I feel like the cycle continues.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just kind of disappointed because I think Modern Warfare just did basically everything right, and this just feels like they. I don't really want to say a step back, but it's like you already have such a good multiplayer. You have such a good established multiplayer, such a good base for this, and you're just going to come out with a new game, and
That's the issue though when you are under the pressure to release a new game every year.
Every year, right? Yeah, that's the problem.
Like they can't just be like, oh yeah, Modern Warfare is great. We just build upon that. Maybe release a DLC to expand the experience or whatever. They can't do that. Because like this game already has been planned out, obviously, so they have to release it, which is now, which also means they have to market it, which then in turn means that you kind of have to neglect the previous one.
It's definitely a problem. Yeah, I don't know how to solve it. I don't know if there is a way to solve it because they're not going to stop doing these every year because they sell like crazy. So I think for me, I'm personally much more excited about the single player aspect of this game, whereas Modern Warfare, I was like really excited about everything in that. They did tease that zombies will be coming back to this. I hope that that will be more of a co-op slash solo experience because I do like playing those sometimes, mostly just in a solo way of doing it just by myself. So hopefully that'll be fun. But I think I'm much more interested in the solo campaign of this Call of Duty, which is usually what I buy these for anyway. So, um, Nintendo is being Nintendo, and they are kind of continuing on with their tradition of just putting out a direct just without any warning. Just say, hey, here's the direct. So they announced Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. Did you see any of this?
Nope. I heard that it happened, but didn't see anything.
So this is a new Hyrule Warriors game. I've never played Hyrule Warriors, but my understanding is that they are much more of like an arcadey, just high action game, and they usually kind of take an established series, like they've done Fire Emblem Fire Emblem Warriors, I guess is what it was called. They did Dynasty Warriors. I know a lot of people have played Dynasty Warriors. They did a Hyrule Warriors game a few years ago, I think, for the Wii or Wii U. This game looks really interesting, though, in that they are, I guess, making this more of like a canon version of set in actual Hyrule 100 years before the events of Breath of the Wild. And you play as Link and Zelda and the four. I never can remember the name. What are the four magical beasts that you go to? Does anybody remember?
Charizard.
No, that's Pokemon. Even I know that's Pokemon. Whatever they're called, you go to the bird and the elephant and divine beast. Thank you, Pi. You get to play as them, and it looks really interesting. This looks like it has more story in it than all of Breath of the Wild did. So you actually get to kind of, live out what happened 100 years before. I think it's really cool that, like, what's going to happen. This is not going to end up well. So I think it's going to be really cool to kind of see how it plays out. And the gameplay looks really fun. And it's coming out November 20th, I think. Or is it November 10th?
Nice.
Oh boy, I thought I had this written down. Let me look at the trailer. It is coming out November 20th. So it's coming out very soon.
Very nice.
I'm really excited for this. I think it looks really good. Also, overnight, we just woke up. I feel like I've just been waking up and things have just been happening all of a sudden. So I woke up the other day and I was just looking through Twitter, and Xbox officially announced the Series S, and it is coming November 10th for $299.
After it was leaked.
After it was leaked, yeah. So there was all kinds of stuff that was leaked about this, and apparently they were planning on having like an event next week to announce all of this stuff. But I mean, this is what happens when you just keep pushing this stuff off more and more and more. It's going to leak eventually. So they officially announced the Series S, $299, and then the very next day they were like, "Forget about it. Let's just throw it all out there." Xbox Series X, $499. Both coming out November 10th. You can pre-order on September 22nd. What do you think about this? What are your thoughts?
I thought it was interesting. I'm surprised at the. I wasn't expecting the S series to be such a low price. I think $299 is surprisingly low, which is a good thing. obviously, then the Series X is a little bit on a higher end. But I think that is fair pricing. I mean, it's within the realm that was to be expected. I was a little more interested in the additional information about there is the how about, not sure what exactly it is called, but that you are able to pretty much finance your Xbox with a, I think it's a 24-month deal that includes Game Pass Premium or Ultimate or whatever it's called, like the
Yeah,
highest tier.
so I have the details here for that.
Yeah.
They have a deal that you can get the Series S for $25 a month on a 2-year contract, essentially. And then you can do the Series X for $35 a month for 2 years. That
Yes.
includes the console. It includes Game Pass Ultimate, which is Game Pass plus Xbox Gold. And this is another thing that is bizarre to me, but they just all of a sudden came out and said, hey, EA Play is now part of Game Pass. EA
Yeah.
Play is kind of the same version of Game Pass to EA. Now, what I'm not clear about, there are 2 different versions of EA Play. There is an EA Play that is $5 a month, and you get, I think you get access to first-party titles, and I think you get access, or no, sorry, you get like a 10-hour trial of first-party trial titles, and then you get access to their vault, which is kind of some older games, and then they will kind of eventually put like their first-party titles on there, and then they have a, I don't know how much it is a month, but I think for a year,
I
I
think it's
think
like a
it's
999.
I think it's $15 a month or like $120 a year. So that brings it down to $10 a year if you pay for it yearly. But then for that, you get access to everything. You get their first party titles day one, and you get access to the vault. I'm not
I
sure if
mean,
this is.
you would assume that they would include the first party games. Otherwise, like it's not that big of an announcement, right?
Well, from what I saw, it's very confusing because they were saying like Madden and like some of the other sports games were coming, but they didn't. I don't know if they said like Star Wars. What's the new Star Wars game that's coming out?
Rogue
Squadrons.
Squadron.
I
Yeah.
don't know if they said that that was included. It was very confusing the way that it was written to me. So I don't know which version they're including, or if it's like a special version that's just for Game Pass. Either way, it sounds like a crazy good deal. I will
Yeah. I
say
mean,
I don't think it's if I did the math right, it's still cheaper to buy the console outright and then just pay monthly for Game Pass
yeah. Though
Ultimate.
though it is still cheaper, but it's like not that much cheaper because I mean it's cheaper, but it's like if you think that you pay an extra, I think like 50-80 bucks or so, um, over 2 years. That is not a bad deal if you then consider that you don't have to pay the 300 bucks in one chunk, which obviously is an issue for a lot of people to afford that. So I think that it's an interesting way to do it. I mean, I think that is it's an interesting deal. It's an interesting deal, and I was certainly interested by that. When I heard the news, again, I was a little bit surprised that the Series S would fall at the 299 level. Yeah, 200 bucks cheaper than the Series X, which is quite a bit.
So
So
I'm just
yeah,
I'm doing calculations here. So if you
okay.
got if you paid $300, and then if you would have to get Game Pass Ultimate, which is $15 a month. So that's times 24. That's $360 plus $300 for the S. So that's what, 360 versus paying $25 a month for 24 months. Oh, wait. My calculator did something wrong. 24 times 25 is 600. Wait. Is that right? Maybe it is cheaper. Yeah, it would be $60 cheaper. How is that possible?
I think it was actually the other way around when I calculated that it was like $60 more expensive. But either way, it's a because even if it's $60 cheaper, if you consider that you're basically paying it off over 2 years, it's still a good deal.
Can I just get that deal and then just like pay it off all at once? I hate
Probably
having
not.
contracts like that.
Probably not. I mean, that's obviously the downside, right?
Yeah.
And that is also something you may want to criticize, that it might lead, especially younger people, being locked into a 2-year contract, which is its own can of worms, I guess. But it is an interesting option at the very least. And as I was going to mention, I never had an Xbox console, but since in the foreseeable future I would have to upgrade my gaming laptop anyway, or like get a gaming PC to get the newest games anyway to play. Um, I'm toying with the idea of getting the big PS5 for mostly the exclusive titles, and then an Xbox S kind of for Game Pass and everything else.
It's honestly insane to me how they can get this console this cheap.
Yeah, because
With
like I also looked at some of the specs. Like the
yeah.
Xbox S is still more powerful than anything else.
So
And like
yeah, $300, and they're saying that this console will run games targeting at 1440p and up to 120 frames per second. Obviously, there's not going to be a lot of games that are going to be running that, but even if it's like most games are running at 60 frames per second, which we'll talk a little bit about this. I'll kind of go ahead and mention this. So it was reported earlier this year that Assassin's Creed Valhalla would be running at 4K on the new consoles, but targeting 30 FPS, which I was like, oh, well, that's Ubisoft. They always do that. But now they just came out and they said that they will be running at 4K, 60 frames a second on the Series X and PS5, and 1440p and 60 frames per second. They're still going for 60 frames a second on the Xbox Series S. That's incredible to me because I mean that's going to be one of the maybe not the best looking game, but one of the most demanding games. Ubisoft games are always very demanding. So if they're running at 60 FPS, maybe that'll become the new standard. That would be amazing if games start running at 60 FPS.
I mean, you would imagine that if you bring out the quote unquote light version of a new console for a new console generation, that has to obviously hold up with the game standards of the new generation that is going to be. Because like, what's the point of bringing out like an Xbox S if you then don't get really the benefit of playing the games properly that will come out in 2 years? So it must be like in terms of the specs, it must hold up its own, and then you really just save on a disk drive, which I can leave that out. I don't mind.
The thing
is, smaller. And
yeah, if you're getting if you're getting Game Pass, like I wish there was a reason for me to buy this thing. Like they're putting all the games on PC, so there's literally just no reason. But man, $300.
But for me, I thought like, okay, I would have to upgrade my my PC anyway, so that, or like at the very least get a new graphics card. And we talked about it. It's not cheap, and I mean, $300 you can pay for a good.
I'm about to buy a graphics card
well.
that's twice as much as this entire console.
Exactly. So I'm just thinking like, well, if I can get Game Pass anyway with that, plus EA Play, plus get basically the upgrade, and someone who has most of his life played with consoles anyway, I mean, yeah, then I just stick with my old PC, can play all the other games still that are not as demanding, and for the news shit, I then have the small little tiny.
Yeah.
Xbox.
I think it's really cute too. I like it.
I think design wise, it looks better than the Xbox, the big one.
The refrigerator.
Yeah.
Did you see the
I mean,
meme where you have the refrigerator and then you have the Series S that looks like a washing machine and like they had the thing opening?
Yeah, maybe that's the new thing for Xbox, that they design their consoles after household appliances.
Appliances.
And then we get like the next one looks like a mixer, or and then
I so I was curious whether the high end console was going to be $500 or $600. I was thinking 600 would be like really on the high end. I would have been pretty surprised if it would have been that much. A lot of people were thinking it was going to be 600. So 500 is not super surprising to me, but $300 for that S just is crazy to me. They have to be losing money on that.
Probably. But I mean, I guess that is also, I guess, then their new business model. It's all about Game Pass, right? Like that is that is just another confirmation that that is what they are going for. That if you get this, you get Game Pass. Game Pass includes EA Play. Game Pass here, Game Pass there. That seems to be their business model, and that seems to be how they want to. Like that seems to be their argument against buying a PlayStation, is that you have this huge catalog of games in the service, and for the service you can use multiple devices to access that service. And I think that is the idea behind it.
Another thing that I can't believe that they're not marketing this. Maybe it's just not going to be ready in time. They don't really want to build this up too much. But I'm pretty sure that Game Pass Ultimate includes the subscription, or will include the subscription to xCloud, which is going to be their streaming service.
I think that was that they actually mentioned that in the deal, in the financing deal, that xCloud is included in the Ultimate. Like they pointed that out.
And so if you have xCloud, there's literally no reason to have the higher end console, because you're going to get the high end graphics because it's just streaming. Now, there's a lot of caveats to that. You have to make sure that you have a really good connection. You know, even if you do have a really good connection, you have to know that you're like close to a data server, you know, and even then, like there's still going to be, it's not going to be as smooth as just having it playing the game, you know, on your actual console. But for $300, that's
better
just
than nothing. Yeah,
I know. It's really really impressive.
$200 less, so you're saving $200. And is it worth that? Some games you won't, you then maybe won't get in the best circumstances, but it's like, you can still buy them all the time. Like that's the thing. Like it's always, you still always have the chance to buy games on top of that just for you. So
exactly.
So yeah, it's an insane deal, and I think that's very interesting. I am very curious to see what Sony's response for that will be, if they are willing or even able to undercut that price wise, or if it will be the same price for their consoles, or if we will see a difference there.
That's going to be the really interesting thing now. Is it's totally up to Sony. It's in their hands now.
They're probably crunching numbers like,
I can't imagine that they are going to go more than $500 on their big console. Like, why in the world would they wait? You know, if they were going to go more than that. So I feel like they have to do that. I'm really curious what their discless version is going to be, though. I just cannot imagine they're going to be able to do $299.
I mean, maybe they now have to. Maybe they now are like, okay, we got to sell it at $299, and maybe that's also why they are waited, to kind of see, like, we don't really know what they're doing. Like they probably obviously will have heard rumors about it in the industry, and like will have had somewhat of an idea what Xbox is planning. So they probably are like, okay, let's see what they confirm, and then we kind of see how we deal with that. But like we talked about it, I think maybe a month, maybe a couple of months ago, that when we were talking about what we expect, how much cheaper the discless version were, and like we were talking like, I mean, at most $100 cheaper. Like we couldn't
Yeah.
really imagine it being that much cheaper. But $200, that's a significant difference. Like, yep, very interesting, and will be fascinating to see how Sony responds to that. And I mean, maybe Sony pulls another rabbit out of their hat, as they have been in the last years, and Xbox in the end goes out as the loser once again. But as much as we criticized Microsoft for their shows and the lack of information, and also the lack of need for a new Xbox, they delivered on this one. The price is great, and the service that they are offering with that is great. Obviously, it doesn't change the fact that most of the games you will still be able to play on PC. But nevertheless, if they really focus on the Game Pass as a service and selling the devices for that service, that is their focus, and not the other way around, well, then they made a big move here, and it's now for Sony to pull something out of the hat.
A lot of people forget that the PS4 launched at $400. With that being said, I just don't see. I feel like the PS4 was PS4 and Xbox One, when they launched, were not super powerful. These consoles seem extremely powerful. The PS5 seems extremely powerful, and I just do not see how they could do 400. I don't really know how they could do 500, but like we say, I feel like they have to. It's gonna be.
I think they're selling
it
at also like bare minimum as plus minus zero sell there. I don't think they make much profit off the consoles itself. So well, yeah, we'll see. I don't think that they will be able to undercut Xbox and with the PS5. However, then again, maybe they say like, if we can do it like $50 or so, like just a little bit, if we're making a loss on it anyway.
Do you think there's any world where like they just go the exact opposite direction and they're like, it's $600? You know, like that's what the PS5 is. If you want it, it's $600. If you don't want it, then go get an Xbox. But you can't play Miles Morales. You can't play Demon Souls. You can't play all of our games.
That is always their strong argument, right? That they can always kind of strong arm us with their games. And maybe that's actually what's going to happen. That it will be that the PS5 will be $550 or $600, and then maybe the diskless version is a little bit cheaper, and we get it at like $400, and we still have the $200 difference, but will be a little more expensive overall.
I'm sure their analysts are going crazy, just like trying to figure out, like, you know, if we made it 600, we're obviously going to sell less, but we would sell, you know, we would make more. How do we figure this out?
I mean, and there's also the question, okay, maybe we will sell less initially, but once we then come up, and there's also another thing, like if they announce, if they have their conference and Sony gets up there and says, okay, PS5 costs $600. However, here is the reveal for our launch title, and it's like a giant game nobody expected, or something like God of War 2 out of nowhere. Something like, oh, and you can play it in 2 months. Won't happen, but as an example,
that's the thing.
Then obviously that would change things, right? Because then they could be like, hey, here's this awesome game everyone wants to play.
Yeah,
you don't mind paying $100 more, right? And
they just don't have that.
Something. No, at least not at launch. At least not at launch. We will see.
Yeah, Spider-Man
maybe they will. Maybe they will be able to announce something. Then for early next year, I think is like the earliest where we can imagine anything exclusive new happening. Other than that,
I mean, they say Horizon's coming out next year, but I'm very skeptical of that.
Yeah, it's on the horizon.
It's gonna be interesting. How much longer can Sony wait? Like they've got to do something next week.
They can wait,
right?
They can wait. They'll just wait until someone leaks it for them.
I don't know if there's anything.
We have
to
the
leak.
Information. Come get it. Like,
I don't know if anybody knows.
They don't know.
What a weird time.
Yeah.
It's interesting though. It's very interesting. Also, in this flood of Xbox and Game Pass news, they also announced that Xbox Game Pass for PC was officially coming out of beta, and with that, it is going to be raising the price. This was always known. They always said that this was going to be happening. So it's going from $5 to $10 a month. I still think it's a good deal, especially with the inclusion of EA Play in there. I still do want to find out more details about which version of EA Play it includes, what exactly is going on with that, because that just seems kind of like too good to be true.
Another a bit of praise for Microsoft, and I can't believe that this is what the podcast has turned into.
I
know, yeah, good on them for obviously. It was always known that once Game Pass PC leaves the beta, that it will jump up in price. But announcing that in combination with the fact that you add another service to it is obviously a good move. To be like, yeah, like here's what's happening anyway. But there's also the news that we do have EA Play now available in there as well.
So. Yeah. Interesting times. So there's been a little bit more updates on release updates, release dates. So we kind of have the official launch schedule for Xbox, and it's looking better now. So the main thing is Assassin's Creed Valhalla moved up their date. It was originally launching November 17th. It's now going to be a launch title along with the Xbox. I think that's huge because there was a lot of confusion about that and a lot of questioning whether, that would be a next gen title right away or if it would be like a thing that they would upgrade later on. But that will be available now November 10th. Destiny Beyond Light is coming out November 10th. We have Yakuza 7, which is coming out on the 13th. And then we have Call of Duty Cold War coming out on the 13th and Cyberpunk on the 19th. I think there's also, I'm pretty sure that they confirmed Gears Tactics was going to be launching on the new console as well, because that never actually came to consoles.
Yeah.
And I believe Dirt 5 has delayed their release to be a launch title for that. So it's looking better for them. Also Tetris Effect Connected will be launching on that.
Oh, okay, now I'm sold. Yeah.
Hey, it's the best Tetris game. And Watch Dogs Legion has also said that they will still be launching on October 29th, but the Xbox X and S versions will be timed for the console launch as well. And I think that's all that we have confirmed for those launch titles, if you can call them that.
Yeah, I mean, not too bad.
It's better than what we did have, which was basically nothing.
True. Yeah. Now the question is, do you think when do we think that the PS5 will come out on the same date?
Yeah, that's really curious as well, right? Because I feel like this is a big blow for multiple reasons for Sony, because all of these other games are like, oh, we're going towards Xbox, we're going to Xbox, we're going to be a launch title. That's great advertising for Microsoft and Xbox. And now if Sony releases a week later, then they're like, hey, come play our games on our new console, and everybody's gonna be like, sorry, Sony, already been playing it for a week on Xbox.
I mean, they will be able to have Miles Morales at the very least as an exclusive, which is nice, but and then I mean maybe they'll be able to then in turn kind of strike a deal maybe with the Cyberpunk or so and be like, oh yeah, we are releasing later, but Cyberpunk will be moving their date on our release date.
I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk is
just as an example.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I'm pretty sure Cyberpunk has said like it's not coming anytime soon for next gen. It'll be like next year sometime. I have so many questions for Sony. Like, we don't know anything about backwards compatibility. the only thing that they've said is like, yeah, we tested the top 100 games and like they all worked, but I I,
They all work.
I
I
still
don't know
don't
what you have.
know like what happens if I have a digital game. Like, will that come over? How does that transfer? Do the
Hell, don't be
disc
so impatient.
versions?
It's still 1.5 months. So
We think it's 1.5 months. We don't even know when the launch is for that. I don't know. They have to do something soon. This is just
Yeah.
getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
Um,
Who knows? Who knows?
moving on. Boy, there was a lot of stuff that happened this week. So Ubisoft had their Ubisoft Forward. This is the second one of these that they've done this year. They announced some new things. So they actually had a pre-show. It always kills me. They announced some of the most interesting things in these pre-shows. They announced a really cool VR game called A Game of Space. It looks really cool though. It's like kind of a futuristic version where all of Earth's resources have been used up, and you take off in a spaceship.
Futuristic.
Yeah, like a year from now. You take off in a spaceship, and you have to like mine asteroids and things like that to build up your ship. And I guess it's going to be like kind of a generational type ship, and you're traveling to a distant star. It looks
No Man's Sky.
It's not No Man's Sky. it looks. I'm not doing a great job at explaining it, but check it out if you have VR. I guess that's the one downside to it. It is VR only, but it's called A Game of Space. I think it looks really interesting. It's launching October 28th, I believe, is what they said. So it's coming out very soon. They announced a new update to Ghost Recon Breakpoint called Red Patriot. That'll be coming out September 15th. And then the official show started, and they led off with the rumored remake of Prince of Persia Sands of Times, or Sand of Time, I think it is. And boy, this is a weird one. I was, so a little bit of backstory. Prince of Persia Sand of Time is one of the first like really story-driven games that I played that I really, really got into, and really, really loved the story. It came out in like 2003, I think it was. It's one of the first games that I played and just absolutely loved. So I have a huge nostalgia for this. I was super excited when I saw it. Still am very excited. It is coming out January 21st, 2021. The only thing that I thought was a bit weird is all of the footage that they were showing from this, they had labeled alpha footage on it. And I just find that a little odd for a game that's coming out in 5 months to only be showing alpha footage. So I wouldn't be surprised if this game is delayed, but I also find it's really, I don't know, it's just really weird that they're putting a date on it coming out in 5 months, but they're only showing alpha footage.
Quote unquote, just working on the textures or something, or maybe it's just like a precaution thing. It's like, oh no, this is done, but we still have 5 months, and if anyone complains about anything, we have 5 months to fix that.
Well, funny you say that, because a lot of people complain.
How could it be on the internet?
Yeah, this, I don't know, it got me kind of down because I thought this looked really good. With that being said, like the character models are not super high resolution. The art style is kind of cartoony, very storybook look, but I don't think that's a bad thing. Like the original was very much a storybook look, and I think this art style looks very faithful to the original. It just doesn't look like super photorealistic, really high, graphical fidelity. But it's getting just destroyed on YouTube. Like the like to dislike ratio is like 30% likes, 70% dislikes.
Oh,
So I feel really bad for the developers because like they were showing some of the developers and they seemed like so excited that they were showing this. They got the original voice actor to come back and do the voice acting, um, as well as like full mocap and everything like that. So I don't know. It sucks. I'm really excited for this, and I hope it's going to be good. I think it will be good. Um, I don't really get why people are so upset about it. Other than people just being mad to be mad.
I mean, sometimes that's the best reason.
Yeah. Um, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, the game complete edition is launching holiday 2020. They didn't put a date on it. I think this is also a remake. I never played Scott Pilgrim. Don't really know anything about it.
It's good.
Is it? Have you played it?
Yeah, but I never played it myself.
Okay. Um, they also showed a. So, do you remember Gods and Monsters?
Yes.
They have changed their name to a terrible name, Immortals: Phoenix Rising. And they showed off a new trailer for this, and boy, I thought this was a bad trailer. I think the game looks incredible, but the trailer was just bizarre. It was like this really just terrible music choice. It was a lot of like really quick cuts. It honestly looks like they were advertising a mobile game or something like that. I think it was just bizarre choice for making a trailer. With all that being said, though, I think the game looks fantastic. And it's also releasing December 3rd of this year. So they are very clearly pulling a lot of inspiration from Breath of the Wild. I mean, like unapologetically pulling stuff from Breath of the Wild. They even showed like you climb up on a tower and like you look around and you like mark stuff. There's like climbing on mountains, things like that. But I think it looks really, really good. I'm really excited for this game. Did you look into any of this, or have you seen any of this?
I saw a little bit. I'm a little bit torn on it, but it's. I think it's one of the games where it's for me on the I'll see pile.
I mean, there were a few things that were kind of weird. I thought the HUD looks very crowded. Um, there was just kind of a lot of stuff going on the screen. Maybe you'll be able to turn some of that stuff off. It would be nice if you could go with like more of a clean HUD.
Yeah.
But I think the game looks really good. I'm really excited for it. There's a bunch of previews out. A bunch of media outlets got access to it to play it for a couple of hours. So if you want to check
Maybe
it
they
out, there's.
another time before release.
What did you say?
Maybe they changed the name another time before release.
Hey, why not?
Yeah.
Maybe they can spell Phoenix right. They showed off a another weird trailer. I feel like this whole I feel like the show was really good. It's just like every trailer was just such a bizarre choice of direction. They showed off a trailer for Rainbow Six Siege with Sam Fisher that's coming in it, and it was like this weird anime art style, which Rainbow Six Siege is like, very realistic, very gritty looking. I didn't understand that at all, but hey, Sam Fisher's coming to it.
Still split as hell. I saw people upset about it.
Everybody's going to be upset about everything. They showed off The Crew 2 has a new season expansion. I'm not sure exactly what they're calling this. It looks pretty cool though. It's like a cops and robbers style chase mode. So basically, I guess someone robs a bank, you hop in the car and take off, and you just try to outrun the cops. And I guess you can play as the cops as well. But it looks pretty cool. They showed off a new season for Honor. They're still supporting that game, which is amazing. Called Resistance. It'll be live on September 17th. And then they wrap things up with a new game called Riders Republic. And when I saw this game, I immediately thought it was Steep. Do you know what Steep is? Did you ever play this? It was the
Steep-
snowboarding,
Yeah,
the Ubisoft snowboarding game.
I played a little bit.
It looked just like it. I think it was free on PS Plus. You probably have it on PlayStation.
That's where
It's a pretty fun game for like a very just kind of casual. You just want to get in, play a snowboarding game. This game is, I guess it's a like multiplayer sports game, and it looks very much like Steep, but they also added in all kinds of other things. So there's like mountain biking, there's wingsuits, there's skiing, snowboarding, and it's going to be your typical kind of games as a service game. They're going to have all kinds of events. There's probably going to be a billion a 10-year plan. I don't know. I don't think they said a 10-year plan. I think they said they have a 20-year plan.
Ooh.
No, I don't know. Yeah, it looks exactly what you would expect it to look like. They're going to have a billion microtransactions. It's going to be tons and tons of events.
Talking about microtransactions, have you heard the news about a brief little escapade EA had with the UFC 4 game?
UFC 4. I saw something about it on Reddit, but I didn't really even look into it.
So apparently they decided, EA headquarters had the brilliant idea that something that would really get along well with fans right now is if we add actual commercials in our game in between rounds. Surprisingly, people were not very happy with that.
Huh?
And they
really?
turned it off after I think a day or so.
But can you pay to skip the commercials?
I think that would have been the next step. Yeah.
I feel like they test the water so much. They're like, how far can we push this? Oh man, EA, come on. So yeah, that's about it. They did give us a Skull and Bones update. Not in the actual showcase, but they put out a press release. Basically, this game just seems like it's a mess. They are now saying that it's going to come out next year, which they've said this every year since it was announced. I think it was announced in 2017 to come out in 2018. Then 2018 came out, and they were like, yeah, we need more time. We're trying to expand this. We're making like a full single-player campaign, so it'll be out next year. 2019 comes along. They're like, we need more time. It's coming out in 2020. 2020 is here. We need more time. I don't know what they're doing. I was...
You were wondering if it's still a thing, and they confirmed we're still working on it. It's still there.
My hype has completely died. Like, I will check it out if and when it ever comes out, but yeah, I'm okay with just never hearing about that game until it comes out. Let's see. We talked about Assassin's Creed Valhalla running at 4K 60 and 1440 60. I think that's about it. Is there anything else you wanted to throw out that you had? Anything in chat that you guys have?
Don't think so. Not on my side.
It was a busy week. A lot of stuff happens. I think that's going to just about do us. What do you have coming up on your YouTube channel? You going to be still playing pretty much the same stuff?
We're not doing the friendly wager.
Oh, I forgot about the friendly wager. That's right. Thank you. Okay. Last week's friendly wager. Let's see. Ubisoft will hold, which they did, their Ubisoft Forward, where they will showcase some of the upcoming games. How many views will the official Ubisoft video have on their YouTube at the time we do the podcast? Oh boy, I wrote this down. You had 1.2 million, and I had 438,000. I'm going to youtube.com and I'm going to Ubisoft's official page to find the official video, which, let's see, let me make sure. Yep, this is from Ubisoft. Okay, the official view count is 670,944 views.
And I had it on all night.
But did you have it on repeat?
Yeah. Oh, damn. That's for 5 views.
I think that's another win for me.
Come on.
At least you were closer this time. All
I'm
right.
getting it. I'm just positive.
All right. Well, you got another chance, Akko, because Super Mario 3D All-Stars releases next Friday. I'm going to go to Metacritic.com and view the Metacritic score for Super Mario 3D All-Stars. What will that score be?
Can I say 180?
I believe it has to be between 1 and 100. I'm not going to write it down. We can just say.
This is such a crapshoot, because if it were just a normal Mario game, it would get, as always, 95 or so.
I think that's why it's a good wager, because like it could really go either way.
Yeah, okay. But also the good thing about these ratings is apparently everyone just rates between 70 and 100 nowadays. So
yeah,
everything below we just can ignore. So I will say it will get a 87.
Ooh, okay. I should have written this down because I don't want to think that, like, you think I'm playing you or anything. But I was going to say 86. So I'm going to go with 86. Akko is going to go with 87. Hold on, I'm going to type this in here so that we have it.
Pymandings has 65. Miles 89.
There's no way it's going to be 65.
Has 87. Pymanding switched to 82.
All right, we will find out next week.
69, nice.
What did you say?
Black Udon chooses 69.
Well, there you go. If all else fails, choose 69.
This will be the one.
This is the one where you start your comeback?
Yes.
It is currently 3-0. We'll find out.
Just because all the companies are underperforming. That's what it really is.
Yep. Well, next week is your week, Akko.
Yes.
We will find out next week. But speaking of next week, what comes up for you next week? What do you have?
So first and foremost, Tell Me Why will start tomorrow on my YouTube channel, 8 p.m. Daily. The videos will release. I will also continue with Wasteland 3, also daily, 9 p.m. on YouTube. And then we'll see if I do a little bit here and there. Crusader Kings 3, maybe dip my toes into a couple of other games for just checking them out for one-offs. But that is the plan for next week.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm going to be continuing Zelda. And probably be playing more Dragon Age as well. Probably be playing more Call of Duty. Basically the exact same thing that I've been doing. I'm not sure if I'm going to be starting anything new. I kind of want to check out Crysis Remastered, but I doubt that I will get that right away. I'll probably just look at some reviews and then realize that I should just play the original Crysis with mods. But yeah, we do this podcast every Friday. You can watch live at twitch.tv/how451. Please do check out Akko's YouTube channel. He is the Akko Sambo on YouTube. And we will see you guys next time. Hopefully we'll have another great show for you guys. Until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful weekend. Bye, everyone. All right, guys. Thank you all for being here. We're going to hang around for a few minutes if you guys want to chat.
Thank you guys. Pixel After Dark.
That's right. Thank you guys for being here, though. How is everyone? I know we missed so much stuff in chat. No, don't leave. Everyone's saying bye. Danny, we decided that we're gonna try and just stick around for a little bit after the show because I always feel bad that we
Maybe we
don't get
should
to.
announce that in the beginning that at the end
Maybe
of the
so.
podcast we will do a
Yeah.
little after show matinee.
I also saw Pi. I saw your suggestion in the Discord, and I do really want to try and do this. I just need to figure out a good way to do it. But he suggested that we had a way to put text on the screen that says what we're talking about, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, we probably can figure out something. There are certain ways where we can easily switch out basically the header. But yeah, I think that is a great idea. I can totally get, especially if you jump in here and there. It's sometimes tough to follow, or it's sometimes also just a topic that you don't want to be spoiled at or know anything about it. That happens as well. It's easier to then ignore it when you have like a visual warning when topic switches.
So I could do something like this. I'll just have to. It's kind of a little bit of work to update it, but I can do, like now talking about Call of Duty. I don't know. Would that work?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely already a good idea.
I can't do it like this. Why, Vermont? I feel like Vermont's just being mean to me.
Yeah, your commitment to Dragon Age has not been fully proven. So
the exclusive after show. That's right. What's everybody doing this weekend? You guys got any plans? What font is this? I don't know. It is centered, right?
it's pretty centered, yeah. I would say so.
I don't see. That's another problem, Vermont. Like I don't have Snap to center or anything.
Can't just put it over my face.
Yep. Here we go. How's that?
Let's see, perfect.
Your son got a cold. Oh no, Danny. So you're gonna play video games since your son has a cold? That sounds like a good idea. What are you gonna play? Pi, what are you gonna play?
Yeah, Pi, we can definitely try something out. Also wonder, I mean, we could, another option for those topics would be like, so we pretty much know what we are talking about. So if you have basically a sample fill out box that you then have then the images that you can just switch on.
Oh, that could be a good idea. Yeah.
So you just have one click to switch it off, or to even just go down.
Streamlabs might have something that would help. I only use Streamlabs for actually, I wonder if we could do something to where like a mod could update a text file or something.
Yeah, I wonder if that.
I feel like that might just be a lot of work, though. Yeah. I don't want to do work.
There is. So, what do you use for your countdown?
My countdown.
Your time. Do you have a time countdown?
Oh, I don't have a timer. No, I used to use a timer.
So the program that I used was a SNAS, and there you can have also like text things, and I now see it also has a text line changer, which pretty much looks what we would need. It would kind of like a schedule where you then can just go through the lines that are shown and can copy the source into OBS.
Mm-hmm.
So that might be an option to just check out.
Danny, you're playing Uncharted Lost Legacy. Good game.
is a good game. Playing Beat Saber, also nice. I thought that's a lot of fun.
DJ Max Respect V. Or 5. That's probably 5. Usually go out to lakes. Oh, that sounds nice. Vermont, you're getting your hair cut tomorrow? You gonna get it all cut off?
Maybe a mullet.
Bring it back. Also, Koala, thank you so much for gifting those subs, by the way. Thank you for gifting that to Black Udon and Danny Owen. Really appreciate that. Also, Mr. Panic, I don't know if I acknowledged you, but I did drink a glass of water. I'm not sure if you're still here, but I did drink some water for you. Can I write the after show a little bigger? Don't think you can see it properly? Yeah, Vermont, no problem. How's this?
Perfect.
There you go. Just for you, Vermont. Yeah, it starts getting very pixely when I make it that big.
Still in Comic Sans.
That's right. It is the joy of pixels. Let's all be joyful for these pixels.
That would be kind of fun if there would be like a camera filter where we would be like would automate
like we would be
8-bit
super pixelated.
figures.
That could be cool.
Yeah, or like 8-bit figures or 16-bit figures.
Man, Vermont, if only I knew somebody that knew about graphic design that I knew that could help me with this stuff. What if you have all the text off screen you did and drag them over? Yeah. I mean, that could work too. Although it would probably be easier just to have it like in OBS as a source or something. Yeah.
I think there are ways to do it, but I think that's a good idea to just have a visual reminder of what we talked about roughly.
Oh, you were becoming a robot there, Akko.
Oh. Oh yeah, my Discord is all messed up.
Discord, get your act together. At least they didn't do it during the show.
Yeah. I use up all my Discord goodwill.
It's honestly amazing how Discord is free. Like, how do they pay for all of this? Because they don't have any advertising. They sell all of our data.
I don't know. I mean, they have the Discord Nitro thing and stuff like that.
Yeah, but that can't generate them that much in sales.
I don't know.
You wonder if they would release a new version of Bloodborne on the PS5? That's a good question. A lot of people were thinking that there would be a remaster of that, or maybe even like a PC port of that. It would be incredible if they would release a 60 FPS. I mean, I wouldn't even need like a new version, just up it to 60 FPS. But I know that's not like a simple, switch, because a lot of the physics and things like that is tied to 60 FPS. Possum, you still don't know how you can see what you're playing? Oh, on Discord? So there's a thing in Discord. It's in the settings called... What is it called? Game activity. And you can turn that off. And then it won't show what you're playing if you don't want people to see. And you can also set like a custom status in there and do things like that. Yeah, you can choose specific games to toggle, so that way nobody will know when you're playing Dream Daddy and all of that stuff. Don't they also have a company platform? What do you mean, Koala? I'm not
I
sure.
think for Discord does like a company version, business version.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why in the world. There's Slack that a lot of businesses use, which is basically Discord for business. And I don't know why in the world more people don't just use Discord, because it's free and you have to pay for Slack.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe there's some insurance involved. Like if it breaks up.
Maybe so, yeah. There's probably like more Slack. It probably has more like security features and that kind of stuff.
But yeah.
You had a blast with that game. It was very funny. Your company uses Slack. Yeah, I feel like so many companies use Slack. Slack helps with organization. Maybe security, yeah. That's true, Pi. I feel like Discord, I mean, just recently they allowed you to have like up to, I think, like 16 cameras or something like that in a group call, but that's very recently that they did that. I think this year sometime. Oh, there's a free Slack version. Is it called Discord? Discord looks like a free-for-all. Bunch of slackers. Discord can be better than Zoom. I've never used Zoom.
I use Zoom a little bit. I mean, works well.
Vermont really dislikes Zoom.
Oh, what happened there?
The horrors of Skype. It's unbelievable how bad Skype is. And like when you go from a Discord call to a Skype call, it's just like, what in the world?
Yeah, and like it's crazy considering that like 10 years ago Skype was the thing, right? Like
Yeah.
online.
That's what everyone used.
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
you're Skyping. Like, are you Skyping with someone? You're doing the Skyping. You're making Skype calls. You're making Skype business conferences. And then really when Microsoft took over, China just fizzled out.
Yeah. The video quality in Skype is fine, but the audio quality just seems so bad. Maybe it's just something I was doing wrong. But Vermalt and I had tried to use Skype before, and I know that there are different versions of Skype, but I could not find like any other version of Skype other than just the standard Skype for Windows. But there's like no settings in there. There's no settings for noise cancellation or really to like adjust your audio or anything like that. All had to abandon Skype because your company was still using it in 2020. Wait, when was Skype sold? Are you talking about Skype was sold to Microsoft? Hey, let's Skype proceeds to use another voice app. Because Skype was just bad, Hal? That's just it? Okay. Oh, you can't turn off certain games?
Oh, I think, yeah, and I think, yeah, I don't know. Like Skype was a weird thing because then also, like, it was also an instant messenger, so kind of that aspect. Yeah. But then other things came up, like Google Hangouts took over, and Skype just got weird.
They tried to let it die and get people to use Outlook Talk. I have never even heard of Outlook Talk.
No, me neither.
Microsoft Teams is a big thing. Huh. Oh yeah, I don't really like, or I mean, um, the Discord overlay is neat, but I turned it off like as soon as I could because it just annoyed me.
Yeah, me too.
You guys use Teams, Possum? Alrighty, guys. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up here. You got anything else, Sako, you want to talk about?
No, not really.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us, though. I'm excited about where the podcast is going. I really want to. This is all on me, I know, but I really want to try and get some guests on here. Get some more guests. I know I can get Durbum. I love having Durbum on, but I don't want it to always just be Durbum. So I really want to try and get some guests on here. If you guys have any streamers that you would suggest, let me know that you would like me to get on, and I will definitely reach out to them. All right, guys, I'm gonna say hello, Akom. Thank you so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. No worries, Akko is enough. We don't need any more guests. We have Akko.
I
All
can
right.
do different voices.
All right. Thank you guys. We will see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Bye bye.
Bye, Akko.